Hey everybody, Soul here with a fun video that I thought I'd post and share with you guys. And it's me, my two brothers, hanging out, gaming, and discussing game theory. One thing we do to stay connected with each other despite living such long distance from each other is get together every once in a while and play some games in the evening. And usually when we do that, we'll discuss and debate game theory, as we are all gamers and we love a great story. Now, in this particular video, you're going to see me playing a game with my son, and that's Russ to be specific, and then I'll hop off and switch over. But during the course of this, we are going to discuss the Final Fantasy VII theory of who the real antagonist is. We will discuss, could it be Cloud, Jenova, or of course, Sephiroth, and debate our theories as to why we believe who it might be, and basically argue with each other in a respectful manner, mind you. I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think. Drop down in the comments and feel free to weigh in on any part of the discussion at any point. And yeah, hopefully we can do more of this and even maybe turn it into a podcast or something.
This alludes to the idea that remake and rebirth are either a dimensional difference, a timeline difference, which is time travel, or an illusion, right?
Okay. It does allude to it being time. But it doesn't mean that it is time, but it does allude to it being time.
This is the way I understand it, based on what I recall from the games. Is imagine being stuck in an endless time wheel, okay? And what is happening in the game, like what you and I were discussing earlier, Chris, while Dre was away, how like we hit a certain point in the timeline and then it resets back to a certain point, right? But since we're viewing everything from Cloud's perspective, that's why the game picks up the same place that the original game picks up, right? So the remake is them following the timeline to a certain point, and as I've spoiled for you, I'm sorry.
You're fine. I don't mind being spoiled. I've said it many times. Those two games, spoil them all you want for me. I'll still play them, and I'm not going to be upset.
Okay. Aerith and Sephiroth, as of remake, were the only two privy to what was happening with memories prior to, previous instances of what they were doing, right? And it is not until you get to a certain point in the game, and you're not wrong for saying that, like, Cloud is having moments of clarity where he's like, this doesn't seem right. You're not wrong about that, but he does not put two and two together because Cloud's an idiot.
Right.
That might be a little oversimplification.
No, he's an idiot. Fuck that dude.
He's kind of dumb. I like him. He's my favorite. He's like one of my favorite main characters. I've got a few now, but like, he's a little slow on the uptake sometimes.
He's like, I swing big sword. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, like, not to break off on a side tangent, but mentally the dude's like 16, right? Like, he's a teenager.
He's been traumatized ever since.
Yeah. He's missing 5 years of his life.
Hear that, kids? You're dumb.
You're a dumb kid. But at a certain point in remake, they break off of that circle timeline. They deviate, if you will. Like, that timeline continues on to do what it's going to do, but they break away from that timeline, effectively creating a different one. The best way I could think to describe it is like Back to the Future 2, when they're describing what Marty's doing to the timeline when he jumps back in time, changes something, and then jumps back. He's not on that string theory path anymore. He's effectively created a multiverse, right? And that's what this is that they've broken out and they've made it into a multiverse.
So, real quick, the reason I was asking about the idea of is an illusion, a time travel, or a dimensional travel, is because when the guy that I presented you with, who was given the idea of the theory of who's pulling the string or what's going on, actually he's not even describing that. He's just describing that the story's main antagonist is actually Cloud fighting with who he actually is. It's him versus himself more than it is. And the reason I asked about remake is because earlier I asked Ed this. I don't think I had a chance to ask you this. In Final Fantasy VII, Aerith dies. In Final Fantasy Remake, she's alive. So is she dead or is she alive?
But then,
Do we,
but she's not died yet. If you're going by timeline.
what? Nope. In Final Fantasy VII, she died.
No, he's saying that in Remake, where they are in the timeline, she has not died yet.
Right. So is she alive?
She is alive. She's alive.
Has she died?
She has died
Do we continue
in a
Dude, if we say she's alive, she's not dead.
yeah, like
Well,
it's
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
it's a circle. Like I said, she comes back. And she's alive again. So like it's like we were talking about with the Edge of Tomorrow. Same but different.
Well, I mean, Ed, have you beaten Rebirth yet?
No.
Same. And so we're missing some clarity there. What little might be yielded, and we don't even know. But throughout the course of the game, beating Remake, there's still not a lot of explanation yielded. Like, we see that Clarith has some... Aerith, wow. See what I did with the words there? Aerith has some kind of clairvoyance, where she's aware of things she shouldn't be. So what you get is a sense of bigger pieces moving, and a sensation that Sephiroth is trying to manipulate the timeline. That's kind of what's been simplified but explained, and that she's combating it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it's a different Aerith or anything, because that stuff's left wide open. We don't have firm answers on that. You're left to draw your own conclusions, which Final Fantasy does all the time.
Yeah, and to, you know, kind of go off of what you're saying too, like even if, and I want to point out too, I do have information you guys don't have. I have not beaten Rebirth, but parts of it have been spoiled for me. But again, like, that story has not concluded yet. We still have one more game in that series before we get all of our answers, right? So like, we can kind of posture and think about this as it is, but like at this point all we're doing is like we hit a certain point in this timeline, and like you said, Dre, we are left to draw our own conclusions about what comes next or what the bigger implications are, or who, as you were saying, Chris, who's really pulling the strings here. Is Jenova being the actual puppet master here, or is this really like a symbiotic manipulation situation between Jenova and Sephiroth, right? Like, we don't really truly know, and again, we're left to draw our own conclusions on them.
Well, and I'm asking this question because when that guy gave, like Andre, when I gave you the idea of that guy's theory on the game, it was excluding Rebirth. It was only including Core 7. But then the argument came up that, well, Remake fits. So that's why I'm bringing up Aerith, because Aerith is a continuity problem, and if we use both scenarios, Remake, not Rebirth. If we use both scenarios, because we have to give back, you know, he's given information based off he's given a theory based off the information that was given in one game, which is what I would call the pure game. I don't know what to refer to as, you know, Final Fantasy VII pure before anyone Disney World did it. And then if we include Remake, we just have to throw his theory out the window. As of right now. If we, I said Remake. If we put Remake into the bunch, we have to throw his theory out the window, because a lot of the things he's bringing up, when again, his argument is the theory of Cloud versus himself, but he also acts like inadvertently just discusses his belief in the theory that in a separate theory, which is Sephiroth is the controller. So that's how we ended up going from the theory of, what his story was, to is Jenova pulling the strings, or is Sephiroth?
I mean, like, even to a certain degree, I think that's left up to interpretation too. Like, if you want to get like real deep into it, like I had actually, like, y'all kind of blindsided me with this the other day, so I hadn't really had time to kind of gather my thoughts entirely. But like, let's look, like, you can look at this one of two ways. Like, Sephiroth was created from Jenova cells, but until he discovered how he was born and how he was, you know, created, so to speak, he had free will, right? So he was doing everything of his own accord. He was part of the. He was, you know, child soldier program. He was there for Shinra. He didn't. He was just. I'm a guy. I'm here. I'm just really powerful. When he got a hold of Dr. Gast's research in the Shinra Mansion, is when he had that mental break, right? And at that point is when he started being like, I'm going to fulfill. I'm gonna go see Mom, right? I want to go see Mother. I'm gonna fulfill what she wants. I'm gonna give the planet back to Mother because she's the rightful heir to this planet. And that's kind of where, right, exactly. And that's kind of where I think it can go either way. Because at that point, you're kind of like, was this realization something that triggered the cells in him, the Jenova cells, to be like, now I'm gonna do what Mom wants. I'm gonna do what Jenova wants.
Quick, read this book.
Right. Or is it him just on a psychotic break, and he's just like, the world matters not. I'm just gonna destroy everything, and I'm gonna give Mom the planet because Mom is going to destroy the planet. Like,
Mama.
The obviously the research shows that they thought she was a Cetra, an ancient, but she's not, as we all know. So like that's kind of where like I feel like it goes either way, and that's.
So I got a couple questions in that. So first I want to say, I think we need to look at the steps and what happened, because something polarizing happened where Sephiroth went from the Wutai War hero, to suddenly detaching himself from morality and all of humanity to the point that he's slaughtering innocents and wanting to destroy the world. That's a dramatic shift. That's a psychotic break on an unprecedented level. And so we have to understand that, and we have to look at the context clues there. Also, I would like to understand where he changed paradigms, and there was always an adoration for Professor, gosh, I can't think of his name, it just left me. What is it? Gast. Thank you. G-H-A-S-T. Gast. And then, but Hojo is his father, Lucretia his mother. Where it happened that suddenly he abandoned them as parental figures and found adoration for Gast. And then saw Hojo as a disgusting person, and then completely, like, just destroys any and all mention of Lucretia. Doesn't even talk about her anymore. And then starts seeing Jenova as Mom.
So here's the thing. I don't think Sephiroth... Actually, I'm pretty confident on this. Sephiroth didn't know Lucretia was his mom. Because every time he ever asked about his parents, or his mother specifically, they just told him his mother's name was Jenova. They never actually told him that he was born from Lucretia's womb. And I think the week he spent downstairs in Shinra Mansion is when he was, rifling through all the books and files and stuff, is when all of this stuff was happening. I don't think it was like an overnight thing. Granted, a week's a pretty short amount of time, but, it's a lot of information to take in, and he was down there non-stop for a week.
Which we do have in Crisis Core, and you mentioned it yesterday, or maybe the day before. He utters on the trip to Nibelheim that he is already aware that his mother's name, he is Jenova's child.
He
just doesn't know what Jenova or who Jenova is.
That's an important context clue for me, because he says it at the gate of Nibelheim. Because he starts becoming, out of nowhere, reminiscent of, and nostalgic. And he makes comments. He goes, hometown, I don't have one. My mother is Jenova. And then he goes, why am I talking about this? And so I think that's an important context clue, because he seems like he's lost self-control at that point. He's bewildered in his own actions. It's like, what am I doing? Why? We've all had moments like that, right? But usually it's an acknowledgement of an absent mind. And so go ahead.
Sorry, not to talk over you. At that point, if we're referencing Crisis Core specifically, at that point he had found himself opening up more. He was opening up more to Zack, which was who was there, and
who was pushing him to also open up.
Yes.
Because Zack was very sociable. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. Zach is, as referred to, he's the puppy dog, so he's constantly like talking, he's upbeat all the time and stuff. And at that point, I think that's what ultimately affected him. Like Sephiroth was just, feeding off the energy he was giving. He was like, he's being open and friendly. Maybe, it'll
Sure.
slip out. And that's kind of that's why he did it. But if I don't think there was anything else leading up to that point. No, actually, I take that back. In Crisis Core, if I recall, by the time they went to Nibelheim, Angeal and Genesis both had already, like, their Jenova cells had already forced them to change into monsters or create monsters. So that may have also been a, yeah, thank you. That may have also been a driving factor here.
And so that actually lends credence to my theory, and what I'm proposing is that Jenova is playing her hand. And all of the agents listed are infected with Jenova cells. I'm sorry, Chris.
No. I didn't. Mike, there's a delay because I didn't hear you, and then I heard you, and I was sorry.
Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, my question was going to be, and this is a what if. I don't like using these what ifs, but like, okay, if Jenova, this is I guess one of the driving factors in my idea of why I don't think it's her is if it were her that was pushing him, why did she wait so long to push him? And I can easily say, oh, that's because of story. But like, he was not a monstrous person before. Like you said, he wasn't monstrous before when he thought he was just a human being who was just really talented. Why wasn't Jenova pushing him to be a monster then? Why wasn't he being pushed to be a monster until he read books that said, oh, here's what's actually happening?
Well,
and then he finds... So
we don't know that he was pushed before or after. For all we know...
Because he was a hero.
Sure, being a hero doesn't mean he wasn't pushed. And for, like, anyone who's manipulated... ironic, right? We're talking about manipulation. I'm a manipulative bad. Anyways. But listen, when anybody who's manipulated can tell you, it doesn't start off in an avalanche. It starts off with a single snowflake against a hill.
On purpose.
I did. It really, and I use snowflake too because, I figured at some point I'd be called sensitive. But anyways, it starts with that. It starts with a single drop. Hey, look at that. And then it grows and it metastasizes. Just like, you hear all the time people say, oh, I dropped that thought on them. So it plants, it grows roots and takes a hold and suddenly it'll be a tree and then it's an idea. And then I didn't do that. It was their own idea. Inception, for one. The whole point of that. The movie, that is. But anyways, we don't know when it started. And her thing is obviously to destroy the planet. That's been her goal the whole time. Why would it have changed? Clearly, it never did. You don't think she was trying the whole time, doing everything she could?
I think I find more understanding and belief in something that I was talking to Ed about. I have a hard time with... I still think that his will is the thing that keeps him from being used by his mother, and it's because of one thing. And I know it's happened to her too, but it's described that he has this strong will. He has a will strong enough to not. They talk about his will multiple times in Final Fantasy VII, the core game. That he is able to resist her persuasion, whereas someone like Cloud cannot resist when his Jenova cells are used against him. So
just out of curiosity, when is that used and how?
When you're at the Northern Crater in front of him in the crystal, Hojo says it.
Well, and then that's, Hojo, right? He's saying his logic, but in that same area, and it's out of Final Fantasy, the original, they clearly state, which I sent y'all today, you mean Sephiroth wasn't the one the whole time? Acknowledging that Jenova's the one in control. Same scene.
I will get to the Jenova side here in a minute, but what I was getting at with that is this. Damn it. Okay, so Sephiroth has been crystallized, right, inside of the life stream, essentially in life stream crystallization. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with it.
He is in there, and he is actually alive. And I watched the thing you said because, and I think it was yours or another one I watched, but they just find two. They point out two really cool things to notice. When he is pulled towards Jenova at Nibelheim, when he goes up to the glass, Jenova is alive. She smiles when he walks up to it. Was that your video?
Yeah, she's alive at every point. But yeah, I'm with you.
So when we see, what was that your video that mentioned that?
I believe it makes several mention of it, yes.
Okay, so when we get to Sephiroth in the crystal, he doesn't change. He doesn't smile. He doesn't open an eye. He's static. You give him the materia, he crashes into the ground, and I don't know if it was your video or another one, but it essentially says like when he crashes into the ground, that's the real Sephiroth, and we don't know where that Sephiroth goes from that point. We're left to believe that every Sephiroth after that, even Saber Sephiroth, and I'm not going to go into the final fight with Sephiroth where you use Omni Slash, but Saber Sephiroth is physically Sephiroth. But we don't know that because we don't actually know that the one that him falling back into the live stream is him or not, right? All we have to base it off of is the materia, right?
Okay.
Is that fair to say?
I think so.
Okay, so Sephiroth acknowledges, whether it be whether the Sephiroths we see that what we believe are clones, Sephiroth acknowledges that he learns to communicate, and he gained the knowledge of the ancients while being in the live stream.
Yeah.
So he gains not only the power of his mother through Jenova cells, but he also has gained the powers of the ancients through the live stream because he's somehow survived it. Same with Cloud.
Well, they say that everybody joins the live stream.
That's a pantheism, like you know.
But it's still stated.
When you die, you became a part to Grizzle or whatever the tree's called.
Yeah, but it's still stated.
Okay.
Am I wrong? I thought that's the case.
Sephiroth has a stronger will, but we go against that.
Well, I mean, is that what you're getting at? Is Sephiroth has a stronger will?
No, what I'm saying is he now has more ability than he has before. Now, he's now able to. He has this will that allows him to not be controlled by his mom. Is what it's alluded to. I'm not saying it's true. I'm going with the idea that I believe that's it. He has now the ability to utilize the live stream communication style that Aerith does, which we see, like, and I was telling Ed before you got here that something I didn't think about until now was that, like, Sephiroth didn't have to be using, you remember how you were saying, well, there's Sephiroth through Jenova doesn't have telepathy, and I was like, you're right, he doesn't. And today I realized, I was like, but he does have the ability to communicate through the abilities of the live stream, and he's been in it the whole time. So,
right.
That's
something that's not explained. But you're absolutely right. Like, this live stream somehow gives everybody this ability, well, if you can harness it, the ability to communicate through things. Yeah. And to people outside of the live stream or that are connected through the live stream, touched by the live stream on Gaia.
And that's why even like, for some reason, Cloud, even though, Ed, you just mentioned that Cloud is kind of an idiot. Like, he's not the brightest in all senses. Yeah. So, Cloud has been in the live stream. And, like, somehow he didn't gain the knowledge of the ancients. He just gained the ability to be communicated, or he has essentially been able to be communicated with. Aerith and Sephiroth are the only two people we know of. Well, and we could say Jenova too, because she fell into the live stream. She wasn't crystallized like Sephiroth was, but they are the only two that connect with him. And it always, and I was telling Ed about this before you got on, that Aerith always comes to him in a daydream or a night. Let's call it a night dream, even in his sleep, in his subconscious. Whether it be in a moment while he's out and about, but it's never like she's a ghost next to him, talking to him. And when it is, he snaps out of it and he realizes that that person wasn't there. It was his subconscious. In the beginning of Remake, doesn't he? If I'm not mistaken, he sees Sephiroth kind of like walk left to right, right? Doesn't he? Do I remember that correctly?
I don't remember that scene.
I feel like I remember that.
I remember him in an alleyway seeing Sephiroth in a basically a blanket of fire.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking about then. But either way, what I'm getting at is like Sephiroth is this person he's our hybrid that we have throughout this whole thing. And because he is a hybrid, he has also kind of adapted to being a hybrid, like understood he's a hybrid, and he is doing kind of like the Star-Lord thing. Like he's adapting and then utilizing his by species abilities. And now he, on top of that, he has this extra augmentation of being buffed by the live stream, and he has those abilities. So all those things all together is why I think his will, his abilities through his mother, utilizing his mother as a weapon, and using her G cells as a utility item, and utilizing his knowledge and exposure to the live stream.
Can we do one thing before we, there's so many things to hit, it's hard to keep up with it. But before we prescribe powers obtained through the live stream, can we make a note of known powers through the live stream?
Well, I have only expressed one power through the live stream, which is communication.
Okay. What if, and this is my wrench to your whole argument and all the parts. What if it's not even Sephiroth, and it's just the use of Sephiroth's voice, imagery, to provoke an emotional reaction and manipulate, which is what Jenova does.
That doesn't wrench everyone. One of mine is that his will is stronger than hers, and we see that in the game, in Core 7.
Well, a wrench is a strong word, but yes. What I'm suggesting and trying to say is that I personally could easily see Jenova utilizing Sephiroth just as a front to provoke and manipulate, because he's a tool. He's a soldier. All soldiers are tools. No offense. That's what you're literally made to do when you're a soldier, is serve someone else's purpose. And so that's what Sephiroth does through and through. She would utilize him no different than Hojo did.
I do have an argument to that, actually.
Well, I wouldn't think that you wouldn't.
Why do we need Sephiroth to be that tool? If she already has Jenova cells inside of someone like Hojo, why wouldn't he just go to and her body parts can already, well, let's take away the Hojo part. If her body parts can already work their way back, because they all work without being attached. She's a parasite. They strive to come back together. If they can already do that, what's the necessity in doing everything that's going on, which would be extra work if she just couldn't just bring them all back together?
Well, two things I'll respond to that with. When Jenova originally appeared, she didn't appear as Jenova, all-powerful, almighty. She appeared as specters of all the dead Cetra, brothers, sisters, immediate family, to emotionally manipulate them. That's how she appeared. And that is a direct quote from the game as well.
Yes, multiple. Yep, it is. Multiple people.
So that within itself is an acknowledgement that she utilizes that technique. Whether it's because she lacks power or it's just simply preference, I have no idea. But it is acknowledged in the game that that is how she operates and functions. So it's safe to assume that that's what she will continue to do instinctually. And then with that said, that's exactly why she would do that now. Because Sephiroth is a powerful icon and tool. Not only is he physically strong, he's been created to be that and to have immense power. She has him at her ready, fingertips, and easily manipulated and or cajoled, supposedly, this is theory, but that is in her wheelhouse. I don't know what she does. And so she can manipulate and control this all-powerful soldier, hero of the Wutai War, that is already world-renowned, that has all these emotional ties to all these big figures or moving pieces in the story. Why wouldn't she?
Why would she continue to use him when she's seen him defeated by Cloud multiple times, and Cloud still has the ability to be controlled by her? Why wouldn't she just use Cloud at that point?
Did she see him defeated by Cloud, or was she defeated by Cloud as Sephiroth?
Either way, she still saw it, whether it was her being Sephiroth or Sephiroth. She has communication with him.
So, like Vegeta, he keeps losing to Goku, but he still takes those two little fists of
Never
his.
lost to Goku.
And he keeps trying. Okay, but regardless, how many times do you see those fights go down the same way through the same means, just with a different approach in that they tried harder? It's no different. If we're adhering to instinct, she's going to keep trying the same thing because it's her best bet. And so she takes a step back. Oh, Sephiroth lost. He got thrown in the live stream. Now half of him is in a crystal somewhere. But I can use his likeness because it provokes this emotional reaction. And it has his power still. And he's still this entity and this person. Everybody's fascinated with him. Why wouldn't she want to keep using that?
So if she was using it for the purpose of manipulation, why not bring him back and not make him this broody, like this ghostly figure? Why not bring him back and say, I was never gone. Everything that happened was that they say I attacked this city. I was never that. Because at this time he's no longer a hero. He's villainized because the people who did survive can say Sephiroth destroyed the city. Why would she use someone who's now villainized and then keep him out of sight?
So I'm going to argue that point. Okay. If you don't mind, he's not villainized. No. The worst thing he did was kill everybody in Nibelheim. And they literally totally rebuilt the town and hired actors to live there to cover it up. And then on top of that, anything he's done past that, like, yes, he's totally done egregious things as far as trying to destroy the planet and get the black materia and blah, blah, blah. But that's not common knowledge. Remember, everybody thinks that Cloud and his crew are crazy.
Right, you're proving my point, though, is if he were still under the guise of being a hero, why keep him as a ghostly figure and not just bring him back and say... Because they covered it up, right? The only people that truly know about it are Cloud and Tifa, right? Because everybody else is dead. Why not just bring him back and say, into the light of the world and say he had never vanished, never died? Why not make him the hero he already was and then utilize him in that fashion and then still go do what she's doing?
Why
not?
Why bring in all those extra moving pieces? Why are we professing to the world intention? Why are we trying to appeal to the world?
Because the same way like you said, her motives were to appeal to the people that when she crash landed, and the people were like, instead of making them believe, oh my God, there's an alien, they saw people that they love. She's trying to, that way she can manipulate them and work out in the open. Instead, if it's her that's doing it all, she's having to not work out in the open with a figure that's only truly affecting one person, Cloud.
So my new argument to that is the Cetra versus regular humans is a dramatically different landscape. She has to deal and address the Cetra because they literally commune with the life stream and the planet directly, whereas humans do not. So she has no need to appeal to them. they're irrelevant. They're not factors in all this. In fact, the only ones that are the ones that have been fused with Mako, and that literally is soldiers. Which Sephiroth being the prime example of the perfect soldier and is a hero amongst them. The perfect candidate.
So that, again, if even if humans are not necessary, why she's actually using more moving pieces to try to do things behind the scenes. He has to go on ships and kill people. Why not just say, oh, he's a hero, I need a ride to this place, I need an airship to this place, and go straight there.
Well, I think the reason I would give to that, and I don't know, would be that she's not all powerful. She's not even whole. And so she's utilizing what she can to get between X, Y, and Z. When they find her on the ship and attack and fight, we see Sephiroth's likeness, but not Sephiroth, and it's actually her. Is that correct?
Ed?
What was the question?
Edward's not doing. He's not having this conversation.
I know. I'm trying to reel him in for a minute. I feel bad. Ed, when we fight Sephiroth on the boat, it's his likeness and not him. It's actually Jenova looking like him.
Yeah, I believe that's what we're intended to know, or intended to see. And because, and actually, it's not necessarily that. I think it's kind of implied that it's his consciousness manipulating one of the
arm.
Cloaked. No, not the arm, but like one of the cloaked bodies.
Ah.
Because when you get off the boat, you see them leaving the boat. So it's intended. I think you're intended to believe that he was manipulating one of those bodies from his, as you said earlier, his crystallization, wherever he is in North Crater, and he just happened to be able to manifest Jenova based on the arm, like you were saying, because the arm does appear after you defeat Jenova. Because I think that's all you really need from Jenova in order to like have it show up someplace. Like I'm kind of ass pulling a little bit on that one because I don't remember, but yeah, like that's the other big thing, and this is a debate I had with somebody a long time ago too about like who's the best Final Fantasy villain. And I said Sephiroth, and I'm like, well, I don't agree with that. I'm like, well, why? He's literally in your face the whole time. He's like, no, he's not. He's stuck in a crystal. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess he is. So like every time you actually see him, it's not actually him. It's his visage being put on to one of the cloaked figures, mainly because of their connection to Jenova, because they all have Jenova cells in them, right? Like that's the whole reason why they're all fucked up like that. They call it Mako poisoning, but it's not just Mako poisoning. They're failed soldier experiments. So they all have Jenova cells in them.
Correct.
So that creates that link with them, and that's why Sephiroth is able to do that, because as you guys previously stated, he had fallen into the life stream, got crystallized, which means he has, and obviously he has Jenova cells in him too, and being part of the life stream gives him that wider reach, so he's able to do the same thing.
So my belief, and it falls into somewhat of that guy's theory, is that Sephiroth is manipulating Jenova and the idea of the reunion so that everything will come there to release him from crystallization. And not Jenova. Because we know that, and I can't remember if it's ever described as it or not, but in Advent Children, we get that they go back to the crater, they find her head, put it in a box, and fly off. They don't have her head stuck in crystallization, but we also don't know that they didn't remove it from it either. So, to me, that plays on the idea like her head is just somewhere out there, and not entrapped, and her body can come together, and that's why it's on the boat trying to travel with that cloaked figure.
Well,
They're trying to get it to back together as quick as possible, but
Well, I mean,
Sephiroth is utilizing it, not her.
if we're gonna pull from Advent Children, though, the whole plot behind Advent Children is that they were trying that the brothers, as you were, Laz, Kadaj, and
And the long-haired guy.
yeah, it starts with a Y. They were trying to get a hold of Jenova because anybody who had been infected with G stigma was a conduit for Sephiroth, and if they had enough of those G cells in them, they would become the second coming of Sephiroth, so to speak. Which is why when Kadaj finally got a hold of the head from Rufus, he took it into himself, and that's how Sephiroth came back. It was him like expediting that process directly through the head.
So we did discuss that yesterday, or the day before, that the whole idea of Advent Children was not to bring back Jenova, but bring back Sephiroth.
Correct.
So
Right.
it always seems to be, though Core 7 seems to be about the idea of bringing back Jenova, I stay on the theory that Sephiroth is manipulating his mom and her desire to be reunioned so he can bring himself back, because he is stuck in a crystal, unable to get out. Whereas she is seemingly not stuck in a crystal because, like I just said in Advent Children, her head is gathered and is found, gathered, and utilized. It's without any kind of crystallization that we see of.
So yeah, I mean, if we get deep into it too, like we know that Jenova came to Gaia, which, again, side tangent. I did look it up. You were right, Chris. The games never, even the new ones, never specifically refer to the planet as Gaia. The only thing that ever referred to the planet as Gaia was like promotional material. That's it. And there was like one location in the game that was like Gaia's Hilltops or something like that. That's the only information that anyway. Crap, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So we know Jenova collided with the planet, and the ancients had to deal with Jenova, and Jenova is the reason why the ancients were all but wiped out by the Shinra rediscovered, if you will, Jenova, which is what effectively kicked off the soldier program. So I don't know how strong her consciousness is outside of manipulation, kind of like what Dre was saying, like where it's like, does she have the means to do this, and is she using the manipulation of Sephiroth, like to kind of give credence to his theory too? Is she using that as a means to meet her ends too, right? So like, I can see both arguments. Both arguments make sense, but I think overtly you're led to believe that, like you were saying, Chris, like everything is Sephiroth driving home, and you make, like, there's a lot of valid points there too to give credence to your theory, because everything that we've seen thus far isn't necessarily to bring Jenova back; it's to bring Sephiroth back, in like Advent Children. It seems like Sephiroth is the one pulling strings. I think it's more symbiotic than that. I think there's kind of an ebb and flow, a give and take there. I think they're both trying to meet their means, and they're just using each other. Because I look at, as you keep calling it, Core 7, right? Our final boss is Sephiroth. It's not Jenova. Like, as it stands, like, the final Jenova encounter is right before the final Sephiroth encounter. And it is referred to as Jenova synthesis. And to me, when I think of synthesis, like, it's not complete. It's just, it's something they had to throw together to get what you get. So I could be wrong. I could be looking into that, incorrectly.
You're talking about the version of Sephiroth with a wing for an arm?
No.
Or are you talking about?
That's Bizarro Sephiroth. I'm talking. Oh, you're. Is that safer?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. The fight. I'm talking about the fight before Sephiroth, which is a fight against Jenova. Jenova synthesis is what I'm, if I recall correctly, is what it's.
I'm just trying to look at it because I don't remember a lot about Jenova after a certain point.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a big orb creature. It's got like a big. She's a big bag.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Big bag.
Literally.
Big bag.
Big bag.
It's like she's got the meteor on her back since.
Yeah.
Symbolically. That's furry.
Like Jenova. Where is it?
Why won't my mother effing control?
But the way it all like comes together thematically speaking, it makes more sense for Sephiroth to be the final encounter, just because like that's the whole point. Like stopping Jenova is kind of a sidebar in the original game. Like she plays a large role in what is happening because Sephiroth is using Jenova to meet his ends in the original story. And it's kind of like a I don't want to label it convenient because that's not correct. But it kind of is just like an along the way thing.
Is it?
It's
They
almost
spend
like-
too much time explaining it.
Well, I mean, like you're right, and I almost want to look at it as it's a fight into mother and son, right? It's not like one or the other; it's both.
Well, and if you don't mind, can I speak on it, or you have? I don't want to interject or take away from what you're saying.
No, because I mean, like the only thing I was gonna add to that is like we're pitting them against each other, but like there's also the thought that they are just working together.
Video. I think Andre's video talks about a hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Which I'm sorry, not trying to take that and use it to my advantage, but that's exactly what I'm about to do. If you're a weak, manipulative entity, or you have a physical weakness, or a weakness in general, you'd want to adopt that strength to offset your weakness, shore up your weakness, so to speak. And so synthesis, which of course is literally definition, two compounds making a new compound, right? But the core of the name is Jenova. That kind of, for me, just says everything you need to know. Like, it's the answer. But if we're going to go further, I would say that you slowly learn about everything throughout the course of the game. Any good story takes you in and gets you enamored off of the fun, the excitement, and the most simplistic parts or mechanisms of the story. It's when they bait your interest that suddenly they start giving you the crumbs or the trail to the true story or the deeper layers. And where does the story all begin? With a girl praying to the life stream at a pipe, a broken pipe. What does that mean? I don't know. But then we're thrusted into a conflict where Shinra's bad, Avalanche, Renegade, gotta stop them, they're killing the planet. Oh, there's ancients. What do the ancients know? Oh, Aerith's the last ancient. Oh, ancients commune with the planet. Oh, they really were close to the planet. They're a big, good, great thing. Oh, wait, they were killed? They were killed by a big bad? Introduce true villain. That's the way I saw those sequence of events, especially with Dr. Gas and Lucretia's history and us actually getting those scenes and watching that and learning. She speaks in great detail about Jenova, how she appeared and what she's done, and I think that was the reveal, the moment you're supposed to understand. And then after that, Sephiroth just does more and more kooky things, like fly through parts of, solid objects. So basically just making sure you understand it's not really him. And while he might be taking over a failed soldier and so on and so forth, he's still acting as an apparition, an illusion. And out of the two, there's only one entity that's truly capable of shifting shape, I should say. Sorry, my dyslexia. And yeah, that's Jenova, not Sephiroth.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. There is.
So Jenova can. So you're saying Jenova can create an illusion that can move through a wall, not necessarily herself.
I mean, she can create illusions in general, yes. That's how, when she first appears, that's verbatim how she's described. She created spectral bodies.
So here's another thing to throw in there too, the manipulation of Cloud, right? In the second disc of the original game, he is made to bring the black materia to Sephiroth's body, right? So this is where I kind of think like they work together. Is that if that were the case, like, not to say it's not, that's phrased wrong, but like Cloud is made to bring the black materia to Sephiroth's body, and he gives it directly to Sephiroth's body. And if we want to kind of like go further into what you were saying, that would be a means of, let's take it further into this too. And Dre, I'm sorry, you may have already said this and I just wasn't paying attention. Sephiroth may be a new body for her.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much emphasis and focus on him, aside from the obvious means. And that's the whole reason behind him getting the black materia, so that he would be powerful enough to house her in such a way that she would be able to turn him into another planet killer, another planet destroyer, so that she could use his body after her body had been, scrounged for cells, chopped, maimed, what have you, to start the soldier program. Maybe she's like, I need a new body. This guy's it.
Oh. I have a question on your theory. Do we ever get an instance where we hear of Jenova changing bodies? Not making illusions of other bodies, not manifesting other bodies, but actually using a new body, needing a body as a vessel.
So go ahead, Edward.
I'm gonna, sorry. I'm gonna say no, because the most we get, and again, this is kind of left up to interpretation, I suppose. Most we get is her manipulating the failed soldier experiments, right? The guys walking around with numbered tattoos. That's the most we get, and that's, again, like, that's manipulation, not necessarily utilizing the body as a new host, right? Because I do believe that she is referred to as a parasite in some contexts.
Correct.
She is a parasite. Yes. Yeah.
So like, that would make make sense.
She's a planetary parasite.
Yes, she is a planetary.
I don't think it's limited to that.
I was gonna say that, like, it's a parasite's a parasite, right? And
it never says I limit it to. I'm gonna say I would limit it to that because it never discusses her doing anything but manipulating beings on a planet. She only attacks and manipulates them. It specifically says that she uses the planets to absorb it to become stronger and then go to other planets. She never says that she actually absorbs. She doesn't, like, Cell Stage 1, suck people's bodies to gain power, or absorb people's bodies to gain power.
I'm interested in that quote where it says that she absorbed planets and then moved on to the next one. But I want to raise the fact, or ask the question, I should say, how did she kill the Cetra?
By poisoning them, not absorbing them.
Arguably becoming part of them and killing them. Her cells fusing, killing them.
Isn't what everybody that has... Okay, so then every time... That would mean that every time that Cloud gets stronger, she gets stronger. Or if Sephiroth was... She would be infinitely stronger because Sephiroth has her cells in him, and he fell into the live stream becoming stronger and more knowledgeable.
I mean, let's have fun with this. What if she wants Cloud too? I mean, why does Sephiroth keep appealing to Cloud? Join me, join me, join me, join me, join me.
Yeah, why does it just have to be one of them?
So maybe she's like, maybe he's the stronger host.
Well, that's what I was getting at earlier. Is why not just use Cloud instead of Sephiroth? But I get the idea of having, the idea of what we want to call it, like bodyguards, like enforcers, in a sense. I haven't let go of that idea. But
you almost have to, if we're going to try to sell that, which that's what I want to sell, I think it's really hard to do because you have to create parameters and rules that aren't given. And guidelines, right? So like I could theorize that Cloud is, while he might be a physically strong host that might appeal to Jenova, that he's mentally weak. And so she has to truly like work her magic as far as cajoling him and interesting him, and really take great care in doing so, or otherwise she might break him, which we saw when he fell into the live stream. But I don't know that.
Well, but we do see someone who actively resists her, opposed to someone that we are claiming that actively doesn't and is constantly being controlled by her in thoughts in his head.
Well, I don't see where he resists her is my point.
Where Sephiroth does?
Correct, I don't.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we already we see one huge paradigm shift in Sephiroth. And it's when he gets closest to her that we know that he's been. Or I say we know that we are made aware of, is what I mean to say. Because we don't know anything. When we are made aware that he's been brought closest to her, he not only has a mental breakdown, he has a huge paradigm shift to where suddenly his value system is completely out the window. And now it's mommy, let's destroy the world. And kills everyone. And moreover, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
But that's prior to being exposed to the live stream.
I don't think the live stream, I mean, he is exposed to live stream. He's a Mako soldier. He's Mako infused.
No. That is different. That's like
drinking live stream.
Water with Mio in it or drinking Mio directly.
It's live stream. No, it's live stream.
No, it's watered down live stream.
But I don't understand.
It's actually not. It's synthesized live stream.
Synthesized. So that seems like a personal conjecture. Do you see in the game where they say there's a difference between Mako infused and live stream infused?
Yes.
I'm interested in that.
When you fall into the live stream and you gain all the knowledge of the ancients, but when you're exposed to Mako, you don't?
I'm sorry. Who is that you're referring to specifically?
Sephiroth.
Okay. And so Sephiroth, in his time in the live stream, learned the ancients. Is that correct?
When he fell into the live stream, yes. He says, I learned the knowledge of the ancients.
Correct. And so that's post Jenova, right?
Post Jenova as in when? What do you mean by post Jenova?
As in him and Jenova's head both fell into the live stream. He made contact with mommy. He had his paradigm shift. Right?
Correct.
So we don't know that's even Sephiroth talking. In my theory, that's not Sephiroth talking. That's Jenova manipulating, telling people what they need to hear to be cajoled.
So she's just having a random dialogue?
I mean, you've known liars, right? Do liars ever stop?
Liars give you something that has not tangents, but correlates with what they're already talking about. Like if someone's like, my car broke down, man, because my brother was using it, and then, man, I really need $5. Well, it starts off, I need $5 for some gas because my car's a piece of shit.
The correlation is she's already portraying herself as Sephiroth. She's just playing the role. That's the tool.
Then why would she be asking for everybody to go? Why would the reunion not have taken people like Cloud or Hojo, because remember Hojo's still there, any of them to find her head at the Northern Crater, but instead go get Sephiroth?
Well, because we're filling gaps here, and it's really hard to do. But my proposal is that her energy and effort has been put into Sephiroth, and I don't think it's something that happened immediately overnight. Otherwise, he would have popped out of the Lucretia or whatever test tube he was born from, and he would have been a puppet. I think it took time. And I don't think it's easy to exercise that, which is what we see with Cloud, I think, too.
And the second iteration, by the way, of when we see him gaining power through the live stream is in Advent Children, when Kadaj and them all utilize geostigma to will the children to come with them to gather, or the idea is to gather them all together, right? Similar to what was happening in the first in Core 7. And they again utilize the last known piece that hasn't been destroyed of Jenova, not to bring Jenova back, but to bring Sephiroth back. If it was the last piece that we had of her,
sure,
why would we be bringing
but
back
that's almost
Jenova?
like that's because they're not, they are different candidates. If you ask why Cloud wants to bring Sephiroth back, he has a relationship with Sephiroth, not Jenova. Kadaj and them might want to appeal to Jenova, but they're fascinated with Sephiroth. So we can spend time arguing that, and that's fine, but I don't think that makes the point.
Okay.
And then the geostigma. What is the geostigma?
It's an exposure of Jenova cells from the live stream after Holy blocked the meteor.
And so suddenly this exposure to Jenova cells makes them apt to be controlled by it, manipulated, to the point that they're cajoled and made to act. It's Jenova, not Sephiroth.
Again, I'm not saying it's not Jenova. I'm saying it's Sephiroth's use of Jenova.
Or it's Jenova's use of Sephiroth. She wants Sephiroth. He's the asset. He's shown compatibility. Jenova synthesis. This is the body that she can now utilize as a tool to truly gain physical power and prowess on top of her manipulative power and prowess. And then on top of that, they are easily...
Her dying?
The what?
At the means of her final piece of her being extinguished?
I mean, I don't know what that's in reference to. What are we referring to with that statement?
When Kadaj fuses, or essentially fuses with her, pulls her into him, he becomes Sephiroth. There is no more Jenova at that point. We don't see any kind of thing that allows us to know that that head, once he separates, once Cloud Omni strikes him, that, or whatever weapon he, or movie did, I forget, I know it's a different name, but after he does that, that's it, yeah. After he does that and they separate and he becomes Kadaj again, we don't see Jenova's head anymore.
So I'm gonna attack this. Well, not seeing Jenova's head doesn't necessarily mean anything because it fell in a live stream with Sephiroth, and then half of them showed up in the North Crater where Jenova landed, but we don't see Jenova's head there with him or his bottom half.
We don't in the game, but we do in the beginning of Advent Children. That's where they go to retrieve it.
Sure, but we don't see the bottom half of Sephiroth. And then, moreover, what I would say to meet that is maybe they intended to bring Sephiroth, but they brought Jenova, who, as a shapeshifter, chose to portray herself as Sephiroth, which, let me remind you, a retired Cloud defeated on his own. Why would that suddenly be possible? Out of practice, no less.
What do you mean? Oh, and that right there? Yeah. I feel like that is a plot thing. I understand what you're saying on that. I don't think I would correlate it the same way. I think that's we're trying to make Cloud an awesome Cloud. He's always the one that is destined to beat Sephiroth, and Aerith talked to him, so he's now stronger. He has the will to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know that I subscribe to that.
Also, you can say it's a retired Cloud, but it's also a 10-minute-old Sephiroth. Like,
or Jenova.
Does he? I mean, okay, or a 5-episode, 5. What is that? She's been gone since Core 7. So Dirge Cerberus, Advent Children. So 2 episodic resting alien. She didn't stretch her legs, so she's weak still.
I mean,
She
she's
doesn't
always
fit
been
on-
weak, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
when she
I
landed
think
on the planet,
I think when she landed on the planet, I mean, if you look at that crater, it tells a story within itself, in my opinion. No geological shape meets that on impact on a planet. We don't ever see a crater that's shaped like a bowl inside of a crater. But that's what her crater is shaped like. Is it because
but
the
doesn't it say that she
Cetra...
traveled?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't it say that she uses another planet to travel there? Are we not saying that that's what's left of the planet? That's why it's rounded?
I don't think
Or are
a
we saying that-
planetesimal crashed into the planet. I think she crashed into the planet, but that is open. I don't know.
Now, I do know it says that she was weak when they found her. That's why she did. And if I'm not mistaken, it says that she was weakened when they found her. That's why she did what she did to appeal to them. She used one of her shape-shifting things to buy her time.
See, I don't
Wrong on
recall
that?
that information, but my theory that I was trying to suggest right there was that they stopped her colliding into the planet because they saw it coming. And then she probably used anything and everything she could at her employ, which this is totally supposing, not fact, pure conjecture. But that's when she tried to use her manipulative ploys and whatnot. But look at the shape of the crater. It looks like it was stopped mid-impact, mid-shockwave.
Am I? And I'm just from what he said. Ed, am I remembering it wrong? Do I have a bad recollection of that? Because I for some reason I remember that, but at the same time, I can't remember where or when in the story that was said that when she landed on the planet, she was weakened, and that's why she took the forms.
So I don't have anything in my memory saying that she was weakened, just that she was able to approach the Cetra while she was assuming the guises of their departed loved ones, and while doing so, which would imply that she would be weak, right? Or it could have been a means to kind of have them drop their guard in order for her to do that. But that kind of tactic would be often reserved for somebody who is in a weakened state and can't just outright attack somebody, right? But she used that as a means to inject them with, not inject is the wrong word, but plant some kind of virus in them and turn the Cetra into monsters. That's what the story tells us.
Correct.
And
Which, if you want to sidebar real quick, which kind of implies that the monsters you fight in the overworld are Cetra.
Correct.
Just want to point that out.
Yep.
But as far as hold on.
well, before I forget this, I don't think it's been acknowledged this either, but Jenova has actually been at the obviously we know she landed in North Crater, but that is where the Cetras sealed her, and then Shinra found her, and then Sephiroth cut her head off, and then they filmed the live stream, and they both kind of floated back through the stream to the Northern Crater.
Yes. Okay. Based on to bring it back around to something y'all were discussing earlier, Jenova does use the remains of the planet she destroys as a vessel to travel to the next planet. I pulled something up and I'm reading now.
I'm pretty certain Sephiroth reads that on the hieroglyphics in the wall in the Temple of the Ancients. That's
Likely, because it was Professor Gast who discovered Jenova, mistaking her for a Cetra after they had read the hieroglyphs on the walls.
Correct.
And it is quoted saying that when his written report later states that the creature was found smiling in ethereal grace while in life stasis.
That's right.
As
Which
if
she
to
wasn't when you find her as Sephiroth, but when he pops up on top of her, she does smile.
yeah, I think so.
Which, just extra bit of information here, we have to remember Sephiroth's distaste and disdain for Hojo, but adoration for Gast. Why is that?
Yeah.
Because Hojo used his mom as an experiment. where Hojo, where Gas just explained who she was.
Gas is the one that opened that whole door and did that, and he refers to Gas as a genius. Gas is the original father of the soldier program, I thought.
Yes.
He is.
So he's the original bad, but yet he's the great one.
Here's my thought process on this. The reason why he holds Gast in such high regard and why he holds Hojo in such distaste is because, yes, Gast is the whole reason for the creation of the soldier program, because he's the one who began the human, quote unquote, human Cetra hybrid program that ultimately ended up leading to the soldier program. It was the methods that he used to go about doing it versus where Hojo is literally turning people into monsters and then experimenting on the monsters as well.
Now, is that stated in the game? Forgive me for asking.
Well, I mean, it doesn't need to be stated. You can see it.
But for me, it does need to be stated.
I mean, like, it.
Talking about theory.
I mean, no, I mean, it's not even a theory. You actually see it. Like, he's actively taking creatures. Like, there. I mean, you can go into the core game when you're running around inside of the Shinra building. Like, he has creatures and stuff, like locked up and doing experiments on them. It's the same thing in Remake when you're running through there. Like, he has these creatures in test tubes and stuff. They literally break out and attack you.
Yeah.
You know, like that's all the context I need right there. Like, I don't need to actually hear or read it. Like, there's context clues right there alone.
No, well, that's what we're debating. All of it is context clues. But I wanted to understand. If that's all you need to understand and draw a conclusion, there's nothing wrong with that. I can't help but find myself wondering, is there not more? Is there possibly more? Because we're talking about somebody judging someone for locking up creatures and experimenting on them when he had the gall to destroy and slaughter a whole village of innocent people?
We've already explained that was most likely. We've already all almost, I think we've all agreed, you and I have at least, that had a lot probably to do with that he was at that time being controlled by his mother.
Gotcha. Okay.
No?
I mean, hey, that's my theory. I'm with it. I just didn't know that we all prescribed to it.
I know I did to that point. I know that I've said past that point he did not. He becomes stronger will against.
Gotcha.
His post
Now,
dip into the ancients.
I just want to defend myself as a RimWorld player and a supposedly sick, manipulative person here. I don't agree with Dr. Hojo and what he's done either. He's a sick bastard. I can't stand him. So I'm with it. I draw those conclusions too. I just want to clarify that. I'm not down with Hojo. This pubescent stash.
But from what I'm reading, you know what? I don't think this is enough to go off of. I'm trying to give you more context on why he liked Gast so much more versus Hojo, but like I'm getting like very surface level answers. Like, I'm not seeing anything that really kind of makes you go like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and you could look at it this way too, because like, even though Sephiroth was like he was born from Lucrezia, like, right, like he came out that woman's vajayjay, allegedly.
Oh my god. I'm kidding.
But the reason that I'm finding is that the whole reason he held Gast in such high regard is because he treated Sephiroth with humanity. He treated him like an actual kid, like a son, even, whereas Hojo looked at him merely as a science experiment.
Makes sense.
And like, I can see that on a young mind, like, yeah, that would absolutely mold you into believing something like that, because like, again, he was more or less a test tube baby, right? He did come out of somebody's womb, but like, the point being is that he was a test tube baby, but he did grow up. He wasn't just born and was suddenly like accelerated age to however old he is, you know?
Right.
So that's more or less what I'm finding, but like, it's it's kind of hard to take that as an answer or a good answer, considering you don't hear him say anything about Gast. Ooh, excuse me, in the original game. And maybe I'm forgetting something that he might have mentioned in Crisis Core. It's been a while since I played the game.
So, is anyone playing Ever Crisis?
No.
I actually have been trying to play it again.
I think Ever Crisis would give you a ton of context. Like, I feel bad for not playing the game because, like, there's so much there. Like, they really did pack a ton of extra story into that phone game. And
Isn't it predominantly supposed to be just Sephiroth? Like, backstory for Sephiroth?
I think that's a big chunk of it. Because the whole draw for the game was that it was going to be Final Fantasy VII on the phone, like, right? Like, it was going to be like the original Final Fantasy VII game on the phone, and it effectively would just skip to the story beats and the fights, and you wouldn't have to worry about all the world travel and stuff. Is more or less what it came down to. But like, it's turned into more of like a gacha game, and you know how I feel about gacha games.
You know that's what it always was, baby.
Yeah, so like it makes it really difficult for me to want to get invested in it.
God, you
And
talking
that's
about
saying a
this
lot.
makes me want to say some other things, but I'm trying to stay on topic. I just want to vent that. I just had to get that out of me.
But that's all I'm really seeing about Gast and stuff. So
Got you. Well, one thing I would like to, which if we all agree that Sephiroth is being controlled by Jenova in Nibelheim, there's no point in me saying this, so I just want to clarify one more time. That is what we all think happened there?
I think that, to an extent, yes.
Okay.
I think... Wait, now do I? I think she has some control over him. It doesn't go into explanation of what he read in the books very well, and that's my only argument, is like, maybe he read that she's being held at Mount Evil, and that's why he went storming there. But, you know, we don't know what led him to go up there. But, again, I don't understand why, if she were controlling him, he would have just took the head. Like, why not take the whole body?
I mean, she's
Like,
kind of big.
He just fucking killed a dragon right before that. Like, I'm certain he could have taken a truck or something. Like,
I mean, when you got, you know, company on you, you're probably just gonna take what you can, or maybe he figured like the head's the important part.
I don't know. And again, like, this is to Andre's credit. You know, the idea that she told him, like, all you need is my head. Because, like, you know, she's a parasite. She can survive that way. That's the only, you know, is that the only way he knew? Or is there something he read that said, hey, as long as you got a piece of her, it'll move on its own. It's symbiotic. Like, it can do it.
Well, there's two things I would like to throw at that. One is, you know, the body language of Sephiroth. Here we have this immense figure with all of his battle prowess and finesse, incredibly agile, no dispute in that, right? Suddenly trudging and walking like an idiot, storming about himself wherever he goes, and incapable of overpowering Cloud in the most simple of ways, one-handed. But I digress. When we look at that situation, I don't recall what tipped Sephiroth off to go into that library and start reading. What sent him there? Y'all remember?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if there was, like, a place in that where he's reading the books that explains that she's being held at Mount Evil.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm with you. Go ahead, and I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think there was something in there that tipped him off. Like I said, there was tons of stuff in there. It would have had to been something that tipped him off and just like, oh yeah, she's in Nibelheim, you know, up in the reactor. But like, I think the thing is that they were sent to Nibelheim to investigate monster breakouts at the Shinra Mansion. or specifically in the Nibelheim area, I should say. Like, they were sent up there, go check out the reactor, make sure everything's good. And then they came down and they investigated the Shinra Mansion. They did their exploring and stuff. They got down there. Sephiroth saw the lab, and probably just being no more than curious, happened to catch something at a glance. And I realize that's kind of a lazy explanation, but that's probably like my best bet.
Game's
My
been
best
pretty
guess.
crazy on their explanation as well, so don't worry.
Oh, Jesus.
So and that's where I'm like, that I want to use that. I want to believe in my theory that what tipped him off about the lab and the notes and all the information was Jenova's suggestion. But I honestly cannot recall what tipped him off to go there and to find all of that. I honestly can't. I gave it some effort and I didn't find anything. But there might be something, and I was hoping that y'all would have that answer.
I mean, I am more than willing to try to find that online, see if there's some kind of. And here's the part that pisses me off the most. Like, every time I've looked something up online, I've actually looked online for answers that I know are given in the game, and it doesn't reference the game.
Oh, that's right. So there was a moment that he had while they were checking out the Nibelheim reactor, where he had like, I guess you could call it like an existential crisis, when they were like checking the seals on the pods and stuff, and when they entered the reactor, that's where Jenova is being held, and he noticed the name Jenova, and he's like, Jenova's my mom's name. And then he's like, wait a minute, is this how I was made? Because, you know, obviously he's abnormally strong.
Yeah.
He realizes that, and I think that's where he's kind of like, okay, the Shinra Mansion's right there. Maybe there's more information in there, and that's what led him to go there. And the records that are in there probably revealed like the Jenova project as a whole, and more than likely how he was created, because ultimately, like, the Jenova project is a large project encompassing several smaller projects, because there was Genesi, the Genesis project, the G project, whatever you want to call it, or which I think was like what was his mom's name? It also starts with a G, I think. It was like
Genesis' mom?
Yeah, it's
Jillian,
thank you. Yeah, Jillian. So it was the G project, and then I think Sephiroth, like, and this is stuff that got added post, you know, Final Fantasy VII core game, was the S project, and my belief is that he likely stumbled on those in the records, because, like I said, he spent like a week down there, man. Like, he was just digging through all those books. So, like, I think after that initial shock of that and having that realization of like, fuck, was this how I was made? It just snowballed.
Definitely.
And if he saw Professor Gast's original work, or original like notes and stuff, he also would come to believe that Jenova is an ancient, not an alien. Because in Gast's research, he believed that she was a Cetra. And I want to point out too that I also found something in what I was reading, that even though we are oftentimes referring to Jenova as a she, and obviously Jenova has a female figure in it. Every time we see her, it's an it.
That's right. It's referred to as it several times too.
Yeah. And Ifalna, Aerith's mom, actually refers to Jenova as he once, and I don't know if that's a mistrans or a typo or something, like they just left the S out, but like in the Ifalna refers to Jenova as he.
Well, hold on. I think I know what you're talking about. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. I'm trying to turn my volume off on this game. God dang it. All right. So, are you talking about based off the Japanese dialect?
I might be. I don't know. I'm going off of what I read. So to be fair,
there's a point, and I think it was when Ilfana is talking, that I was just reading about it, and it expresses that she is she refers to it as, she doesn't refer to it as an it, and I want to say whatever I was watching showed that that ironically when they put in that Japanese text into Google Translator, it showed up as she instead of he or it.
So yeah, that very much could have been a typo.
In that video I sent y'all, that guy, he's German, native speaking. He said that he contacted somebody who was, which this all is subject to possible error. Yeah, and that the guy said, no, there's no mistranslations here. It's all very well translated.
But he also says that when he put it into Google Translator, it spit out she.
Interesting.
Yeah, it said that when he is the one, because I remember that being the topic is that he gave it to somebody who was Japanese speaking and had them translate it, and then he said he put it into Google Translator himself. It showed up as the word she on it, but he also referenced something that's very important to note too, is that he says that Japanese language doesn't genderize. So that's probably why we always got an it, because there is no way for them to genderize Jenova as a woman, is what he was saying. Or a man. He could be a seahorse.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the Japanese language to discredit that statement, to be fair. So
the Japanese language, I've learned a little bit about it through One Piece translations. Dawn Dusk in particular is what I watch. Shout out to that channel, pretty amazing. But they talk about how elaborate the language is and how something as simple as mom has literally 30 different ways it can be said. And but yeah, what Chris says is 1,000% true. Their pronouns or nouns in general don't prescribe to gender, unlike the Latin languages.
Right.
Are we gonna play something while we debate and talk? By the way, or are we just doing our own thing?
If you want my full brain capacity, I probably shouldn't play something.
I'm trying to play Ever Crisis.
Troubleshooter. Long pause.
I was going to say, we are discussing this. I guess one of the things that we never really went over is it just kind of pushed from me talking to Ed about some things that I found in the last day. We are discussing the idea that this is the theory of who's in control, correct?
That's what I've been led to understand.
Or are we just discussing? Well, I'm asking you because it's truly not what we were talking about. I was just talking about the idea of the level of how it's communicated. I wasn't going into with Ed necessarily here's my theory. I said, hey, we were talking about this theory, but then I found something kind of interesting, and I kind of made that the primary point. Was and I guess you missed a part of it. I was starting to go on to the idea of the idea that different people in the live stream came out with different powers. Cloud, Sephiroth, and this actually might pose towards your side of the argument. Sephiroth says he went in his time in the live stream gave him the ability to gain the knowledge of the ancients. Cloud didn't get that. Cloud has not utilized any kind of ability he's gained from being in the live stream. So his time in there, and even if I went further into it, like you said, utilizing the idea of how he was a Mako infused test subject, he's been double dipped in a sense. And we see that he gained power from the synthesized Mako exposure, but we don't see what he's gained from being dipped in the live stream. Whereas Sephiroth swears he gained something from it. Aerith, though she's an ancient, etc., and should, and must become part of the live stream, she's seemingly doing the same thing that Sephiroth is doing, which is, I was expressing like Sephiroth's, I don't know if you were here for that part, but I was saying that Sephiroth may not, you were here, because I said he doesn't have telepathy through his mom's cells. He has the ability to communicate, not control, but communicate through his ability to communicate with people who've been exposed to the live stream, which at this point we only have one who's really been, and which not everybody, because hasn't Tifa been in the live stream?
Yeah, she fell in with Cloud.
She fell in with Cloud, and nobody communicates with Tifa. Tifa in Remake hasn't seen anything, right?
Correct.
So it's everybody's only targeting Cloud. Aerith, Jenova, and Sephiroth.
To be fair, just on Tifa, there are lots of times, I say lots, there are several times where Aerith has private conversations with Tifa. And we have no idea what's being said. And or she specifically seeks her out in private.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so that could be a point of where we're finally seeing that they're acknowledging the fact that she's able to communicate with her because of the live stream. Or Sephiroth's belief that he has this ancient knowledge and this ability to communicate isn't real. Because, again, Cloud has gained nothing from it.
But
unless
that's, the balls are inert. It's Cloud. Zack, I think, was able to utilize the live stream to communicate, right?
I don't know on that, because it always is depicted. It's like just Cloud finally remembering him once he finds himself, and then saying, "I will continue living on for us both as we have."
And I might be wrong,
walk off.
But I think in Rebirth, Aerith is caught talking to Zack via the live stream in their timeline.
Well, in Avid Children, they're together, and then they walk off from the church as well. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you remember that scene, Edward?
No, I don't.
Cloud walks in, and Aerith's like, she's talking to someone, and no one's there. And Cloud's like, who are you talking to? And she goes, oh, no one. Don't worry about it. And the game alludes to it being Zack.
Oh, that's when you're in that town that I was just in when you were watching me play the other day. If I'm not mistaken, like when you're in front of where the kids have the tables out, and you're supposed to play tag with them. I believe that's where that's at.
I'm not certain.
Because I remember that line, and I'm not very far in Remake.
But didn't make any contact with live stream that we're aware of, unless experimented on with by Hojo. I think Red 13 also can commune with the live stream.
But he's also where they are in his village. When you go behind that wall, is that not supposed to be the live stream? Where you fight the wall?
Fight the wall.
Talking about the demon wall in the Temple of Ancients?
No, when you first get him and you go back to his village on the where you go to this to use the telescope, he has to finish out a trial, right? And he goes through that. You go into the cave essentially, and you fight the wall along that bridge area.
Are you talking about
And
when he
there-
has to fight the ghosts of the Gi?
Yes, I understand that. That's as I've always thought, and I've always considered it that is a portion of the live stream.
No, it's not a portion of the live stream. It's the battleground of the Gi where his father was fighting them off to keep them from getting to the village.
Is it not live stream related at all?
I don't think it is.
What about this odd scenario? Wasn't it Tifa, as y'all said, who found the live stream with Cloud? But wasn't it Tifa in Cloud's subconscious helping him reconstruct his memories?
Yes.
So is that not some kind of live stream communal?
Like, what do you mean communal?
I mean, we're talking about ethereal plane? I don't know what you'd call that. Like, what plane of existence is that, and how did she get there? How is she existing there and manipulating it?
I think it has a lot to do with, like, this could be one of those, like, it's a proximity thing. And because his mind is broken and hers is not, she's able to traverse his broken mind. And it could just be a deeper thing. It could be a connection. Like, Cloud and Tifa are seen being very, very close. They're childhood friends. And there's obviously more there. So it could just be another thing going on with the live stream. Let's also consider the fact that at this point Aerith has returned to the live stream, and it may have been something on her part that led to that.
Could be,
That's more of a theory than hard evidence, though.
And see, with what little we have to glean, we know that Cloud's a lucky bastard, for one. But two, I would assume the live stream is the vehicle in that.
Yes, probably.
I'd be willing to put that on that. Of like she's in his mind. That I could see that being something I would be able to. I'd feel comfortable saying that is a point in which we can see her actually utilizing the abilities of the live stream. But it still puts me in the spot where like I'm laughing that if everybody who's been dipped in the live stream, one moron's not figured out his abilities from it.
Yeah, and it honestly begs a bigger question of Cloud, which is kind of a spin-off of a conversation, but I'm willing to go there, is what's his affliction? Since he was a kid, he was always outside of the circle or norm. And while Tifa took an interest in him, it seemed like everybody else around him kind of just saw him as, just an oddball.
Weird kid.
Yeah.
He's autistic.
I mean, honestly, is that what it is?
Maybe.
I mean, legit. It would actually fill that hole completely. And there's nothing wrong with that because he is a savant in quite a few ways. Yeah, let the butthole answer.
Sorry. Yeah, no, like legit. I mean, like it's very possible. Like, it's often seen, as we've seen growing up, that a lot of kids that grew up who were considered weird or just out of the norm, they had a touch of autism. And it's completely normal. It's just become more widespread because we know more about it, And they may have accidentally made him, like, not intentionally, obviously, because it's just like, oh, he's just an odd kid, Because, I mean, like, I was an odd kid growing up. Like, I kind of, that's actually kind of one of the reasons why I fucking identified with him so much, is because I was that weird kid in class. And it made it really easy for me to identify with him in that regard. Obviously, I'm not some badass giant sword-wielding soldier, but it just, I don't know, it humanized him a lot more for me. And, like, I could definitely see that being, like, an accidental, like, trait for him without them intending it to be that way. He could just also be really socially awkward. We could be looking too deep into that. But
I think it
I forgot
fits.
what
That's a hell of a thumbnail. Was Cloud autistic?
it's Cloud.
Is
Autism.
Cloud autistic?
I mean, like, I bet you could look up that online and somebody's spouted that theory before.
Its
But,
brain is inert.
I always, like, growing up, just kind of read it as the kid who was a bit of an outcast who never really learned to develop those social skills because he was the outcast.
Self-inflicted, though. But why?
He's just not a people person. I don't know.
Well, we see him acting outside of the norm in quite a few
Hold
ways,
on.
right?
Well,
Go
he only
ahead.
becomes a non-sociable person. He used to be a sociable person.
Was he?
Yes. Anytime you see him as a kid, he's sociable. Once he gets back his normal self, and I was talking about this last time we talked. Once he finds himself and realizes that he's not the soldier, he's gotten rid of the delusion that he was in Zack's place. He stops kind of following the idea of the idolization of Sephiroth. At the end of the game, he becomes sociable. He goes back to being himself. And as a kid, he was sociable. It's only in that era after Crisis Core that he becomes non-sociable. From there till realization of self in 7.
See, the flashbacks that I recall of him as a child, he was not sociable. He was always alone, with Tifa calling out to him like, hey, why aren't you with us? As in the rest of the kids. And he was always like, I'm doing my own thing.
But who keeps sparking those conversations? Tifa. Tifa's only talking to him about things that dealt with her, like his promise to her, or even when you see him going, like when his true body is walking towards Sephiroth to hand him the materia, or to hand him over the stuff at the at the Temple of Ancients. Tifa's behind him, and you get a version of him as a child, which is looks even younger than the version that spoke to Tifa about his promise to come save her if he ever becomes a soldier. Every time we discuss him as a child, or I won't say every time, all the times that I can remember, most of the times that he flashes back to his childhood, it's because Tifa is pushing him to remember something from his childhood. Because when we first get him in the game, he's still under the delusion of Zack's memories. So he has kind of pushed most of his past out. Like when he's back at home and he's laying in the bed and his mom's like, oh, you're gonna do great and blah blah blah. Remember that, like, and he's like, yeah, I guess. That's not his memory. So every time we see him as a kid, he's talking to only Tifa because Tifa's the one pushing him for memories.
So my counter argument to that, I guess, would be that I think that he is disconnected socially, and primarily based off without that information, because I think you make a great point. It would be because of his decision to so easily not only leave his village for something bigger and better, because he disassociates himself from those people and wants to be different from them. But also, when he came back and he had failed to do that, he was very well happy and fine with not telling them and them not knowing and never closing that gap.
You talking about when he came back as a soldier? Or, I mean, as a Shinra employee?
It's Shinra, yeah, uniform.
Yeah, because he had not met. Well, he didn't tell him because he failed to accomplish what he sought out to do.
Right. Most people own the failure when they have that connection. It's when they don't have that connection that they're more comfortable making the cut and just staying disassociated. They're not losing anything.
I'm trying to remember and recollect the time when he's just not sociable to, like what you're saying, like where it shows that he's in his past wasn't sociable or not, or seen as an. Have
you watched two? Haven't you? Have you watched You? I mean, YOU? You? Yeah, and that
heard of.
show is about a stalker turned murderer. Okay, but in that show, there are so many scenes where that main character has inner dialogue, and he's just like people say something, they're like, "Hey man, what are you doing tonight?" And he just stares at him, and then brooding thoughts hit the screen, and he never moves a word, his lips, and says a word, and it's, "What am I doing tonight?" Da da da. That's Cloud. And so there's so many times in scenes where somebody's like, "Cloud, what are you doing?" And he's just like, "Huh, and he grunts, and then they fill in the void, and then he doesn't even acknowledge, or maybe he's pushed along into something, and he doesn't hardly get in a word, but maybe John Wick style one word. And so I don't know.
But again, that's when he's under the guise of being Zack. That's when he's when he's still embodying what it seems like to be a first-class soldier, where you're too cool to talk, you're too cool to pipe in. It's like a yeah, whatever.
Is that why? Because and I hear you loud and clear. That's ideology of a first-class soldier. That makes good sense. Versus him being Zack, where he's sincerely confused and he thinks he's Zack, whereas Zack is this bright, vibrant, active, talkative person.
I was trying to go into that. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, he's got two examples of what a soldier is. Zack, who he gets most exposure to, you get when in Crisis Core, Zack tells him to do the squats when he's up on the mountain to stay warm. He talks to him in the back of the truck, this and that. He sees this very sociable Zack, and he only is really brought to Zack's ways because of his exposure together. Their exposure together for the 5-year time that they were in the chambers, as well as their that time, right? Okay, so and then the time that they were escaping, the last hours, and then his other example is Sephiroth, a brooding person who doesn't talk, who is very quiet, who doesn't really give much. Those are his two examples. So in essence, he's embodying both of them. He's embodying the cool, his idolization of Sephiroth, but the gumption and strive of and care for people that Zack had, and then obviously his memories because of their what do they call that? Their osmosis, from being in the truck during the time of the truck and in the 5 years or it was the 5. Isn't it 5 years? They were.
Yeah, it was like 5 years, I believe.
Yeah. So we're seeing him embody both sides of what he sees as a first-class soldier. He is caring, but he's also this too cool to talk, Sephiroth-esque communication style. That's what I think.
여기 맞지?
Makes sense. I can subscribe to that.
Because at that time, I don't even think he meets. I think in Crisis Core, he never shows up at the times where you're with Angeal or Genesis.
Cloud?
Yeah.
Correct. Cloud doesn't show up until after they have their
breakdown.
Yeah, their mutations.
목표로 이동하겠습니다.
Yeah. When the G cells take over.
Yes.
So, if he would have met Angeal, I mean, even Genesis was talkative. Sephiroth is the only one out of like the 4 characters we get as first-class soldiers that really wasn't. So, in fact,
가볍게. 다음은 누구입니까? 모두 상대해드리겠습니다.
but back to what our original reason for bringing that up is, that time of delusion is when he is antisocial. Once he found himself.
아플 거다. 바로
Okay,
이거지.
let's do this. We got this. Let's go. Come on. We gotta, don't fall for it. Don't do this.
I don't know.
목표
I feel like in having
제거하겠습니다.
children, he still was that weird, angsty, anxious, weird, awkward guy.
목표로 이동하겠습니다.
Well, I brought that up to you 2 days ago that I thought it was weird that that happened because at the end of core 7 he isn't that, but then once core 7 and he has alleviated the issue for the most part, as far as everybody knows, he some reason goes back to brooding.
Well, and Advent
이동합니다.
Children, I think he's still like trying to get over what happened, which is why he kind of goes
Spirit.
back to the way he's yeah, exactly. Because even Tifa like rags on about it. He's like,
Okay.
she says something along the lines of like, you keep beating yourself up over stuff you have no control over, and it's you know
on the phone when he throws it,
지체할 시간이 없습니다.
the message he sends him.
yeah. And
Something
even
I
when he's
should
back
watch
in
again.
town.
What'd you say?
It's something I need to watch again.
알겠습니다.
It's aged.
That's
It's aged.
Well, yeah, but then that makes sense, and I kind of always kind of forget that. Like, he's not brooding like he was in 7. He's brooding because of a loss,
Yes.
이동합니다.
because someone died, and which is interesting because like in Final Fantasy 7 Core 7, we always think that we always joke about the idea that like getting to the Golden Saucer, you get to take different people on the dates, and like who's his love interest? Is it Tifa? Is it Aerith? And a lot of people say it's always left to interpretation, but the game actually has a
다들
point
준비하세요.
where it explains that he actually desires Tifa. At one point as a kid, at one point as a kid, he expresses that he's joining in
전진합니다.
to catch her attention.
Gross.
Like he wants to be noticed by her.
목표 제압하겠다.
So
That's true.
we always get that, like, so it's like, because I always used to think like the fact that Aerith died, it was because he loved her and wanted her, but it's not, because, or maybe it still is, but like in the game we never get any real evidence of that.
Hey man, don't let the Clarith enjoyers hear you say that. They'll get mad.
Right. But we do get evidence that Tifa has, 1, a huge pull on him, 2, has been his interest since he was a kid. I mean, so much as he said he's going to join that to get her attention. He promised to come back and rescue her once he did. He came back in general. Like, is it odd that he decided to join Avalanche or help
바람과 함께
Avalanche, and
사라지세요.
it's just happened to be, she happened to be a part of it? Like, it's all about her. I think he's just mad because he
Go, go,
promised
go!
to keep her safe. She died. That's on his mind. He never
섬광추.
committed a promise like
역시
that.
너무 잘.
Tifa died?
I think he's talking about it.
Jesus.
Aerith.
Aerith dies?
Well, it depends on if you believe in remake or not, or if we. What comes of remake? Either this is them playing in the ethereal, those two playing in the, one of 3 people playing in fucking the live stream and create an illusion or whatever. We don't know yet. But, and in fact,
목표
that
제거하였습니다.
in its own, I'm still considering Aerith dead, because until we know what happens there.
I mean,
And I've already looked up on Rebirth to see what happens, so I already know. So I'm gonna shut up.
gross.
I told you I
That's-
don't care about ruining those
목표
2 games.
제거하였습니다.
I personally would be playing. 7 isn't one of my favorite Final Fantasies. It's up there, but it's not one of them. So
Oh,
I
we
don't
know.
care if I get ruined of it.
Shame,
But I'm not
man.
gonna ruin it for y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I mean, like as I've said before, part of that game's been ruined for me already. So
Jesus, I couldn't imagine. Like, I'd hit somebody. Kelsey came in here and told me the end of the rebirth, I'd throw her on the ground.
So it was unwillingly ruined for me. Like, it's because people, like, when these new games come out, and I was in the unfortunate circumstance of not being able to complete the game in one go, right? I had to leave for another 4 months after the game came out before I could play it again. So I unfortunately missed out on being able to beat it before, you know, all of the flood-ins of, man, did you see it when this happened? All over social media. So I unfortunately had that shit ruined for me. Because people can't help themselves but post pictures,
알겠습니다.
you know, after the game's been out for, you know, a week, 2 weeks. Everyone's like, you've had 2 weeks, you should have beaten it by now. Like, no, I like to slow roll my games. I like to enjoy them. I'm not gonna beat it as fast as someone who's just trying to get to the end of the game. Like, that's no fun to me. I don't like playing games like that. Like, it has to be a game that I have no interest in the game's world as a whole, right? For me to do something like that. But Final Fantasy VII is like one of those childhood things for me. Like, this is something I hold very near and dear to my heart. I wanted to take my time with it. Because that's what I did with Rebirth. Or, not, sorry, with Remake when it came out. I did fucking everything in that game. And I fucking loved every second of it. But it is what it is. I'll just have to catch the next one all the way through without being spoiled.
I managed to stay ignorant this long.
알겠습니다.
It's almost like a
Keep it up.
superpower.
It really is. It's been over a year. Hard to believe that game came out last year. Like, the beginning of last year.
Man. Look at that Barrett.
Ugh.
I like that Barrett.
여기 맞지?
What's wrong with Barrett?
Ever Crisis.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's I don't know about that Barrett.
What?
Yeah. I don't know what in the Wakanda is going
TTI
on
시간이
over there.
없습니다.
See, I kind of dig the Ever Crisis models. Like, if they had given me a Final Fantasy VII, like, and I'm kind of deviating from the conversation here. If they had given me a Final Fantasy VII quote-unquote remake, like a hard actual remake of the game, and gave me these character sprites, quote-unquote character sprites, whatever you want to call them, models. I keep saying quote-unquote. I would have loved it. I would have eaten that shit alive.
Sandwich.
Quote-unquote sandwich. But I know a lot of people would just be like, why don't you just mod your original game to do that? Because they do have a bunch of mods for the original game you can do that with.
Fuck that.
I think one of the big ones.
Purity.
What's it called? I think it's called like Tifa's mod or something like that.
I actually don't know what I'm thinking of because I just looked up Ever Crisis Barrett and it does look pretty good.
Not only does his sprite look good, but like when you jump off the
Seventh Heaven, that's what it's called.
when you jump off, why did we hide if we're just gonna jump out at me, weirdo? When we jump off the
Quick
train.
hide. Ah, gotcha.
Haha! Oh, he's got a hound. He probably heard us moving as it were.
Marlene.
Like, I think this game looks great. Like, this looks really good. Shit, I might actually try to go back and play it. I might have played it at a bad time.
No, you say that till you get to the point where you gotta buy something. You're like, fucking bitch.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Nope.
You need these gems. Alright, I'm out.
Sword of Convalaria is getting Witcher 3. There's nothing else in life.
So we were right.
I think so. I know
We were
so.
Right about. Yeah, you know so now. We were right.
go!
They're trying to buy time before Witcher 4.
That's exactly what I was saying. I think you're using it as a tactic to try and, like, get that genre over to the east and try to garner interest in it. Because as I was saying before, and again, I said this last time too, I don't know if this is accurate. Quote unquote.
Okay.
You did a good
That,
job nailing it, honestly.
The Witcher didn't do a good job outside of America. Well, that's not fair. Outside of like America and like the UK and stuff, I don't think Japan had a very strong pull towards it. And that could very well just be the style of the game. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's true or not. I just vaguely remember seeing something like that, and I could very well be wrong.
But yeah, The Witcher it seemed to line up with the way you were describing it, Dre. Where it
I
was
can't wait for it, dude.
Like, do we know who we're getting in the game? Like, is it going to be Geralt? Is it going to be Ciri? Is it going to be both of them?
So we don't know for a fact, but Ciri for sure is what's most probable. Geralt, we're given as a sprite of Geralt naked in a bath.
Oh God.
We think, yeah, we think Yennefer, and then Jaskier, Dandelion, is another one. So there's a big consensus right now that there's going to be 4 characters. Okay. My point of contact has been out of office. I can't wait to get some feedback.
Ciri makes the most sense because Witcher 4.
Yeah.
Geralt also makes the most sense to me because he's the main character of the first 3 games and the books for that matter.
Yeah, I just want Geralt.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Technically, Ciri is the main character. The story is told from Geralt's eyes.
It's all prologue, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the new character that just dropped, Camelot, bonkers.
Yeah,
Insane.
I keep seeing chatter about him on your Discord.
I got him.
Well, not only that, but like he has a skin you can buy, but it looks really good. Like he just looks like a super maned redhead, like maned as in like lion's mane, maned redhead warrior. Looks amazing.
Looks like that dude from Solo Leveling.
Oh, dude, this would be so nice if this is what the fucking this part of the level looked like. This was dog shit in Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, you know, this game's fucking damn near 30 years old now.
I just hated doing that stupid swirl.
이동합니다.
Like, I'm watching you play right now, Chris, and this is like the combat looks solid, like it looks good. Like
내가 먼저다.
Cloud has Thunder and Cure Materia, which is, you know, faithful to the original game. Okay, no, actually that's not true. I don't think he had Cure Materia at this point.
No, you don't get cured till Barrett. You're in the pub with Barrett, and he's like, "How do you use this shit?"
Yeah, that's right. Because at this point you're just like, potion, potion, God, potion.
Oh wait, no, that's lightning. I think you get cure when you're on the beam
상대해드리겠습니다.
at the when you're in front of the reactor.
Oh, yeah, because well, Cloud starts the game with Bolt.
Ooh.
But I don't remember if he has Cure. I don't think he does.
I think you find cure there
Yeah,
when
but
when you're walking up to it.
Yeah, but you can't equip it until you get the materia tutorial, which, as you said, happens back at the bar.
That's right. Blue crystals. That must be how I progress in the game.
가볍게.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that the
다시
Indian
긁지
currency blue crystals?
Must be.
바람과 함께 사라지세요.
So, well, I'm not paying attention. Are you just controlling Cloud's movement?
알겠습니다.
I think I can swap, but I forgot how.
목표 여전히 건재합니다.
Because when I first started
이미
playing,
저항은
it put me
무의미합니다.
on Barrett for a minute.
Okay.
알겠습니다.
This looks a lot better than it did on the phone, to be honest.
Oh, you can up your movement speed in the game if you're feeling a little impatient.
여기 맞지?
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I might actually have to try and plug this game just a little bit. Try it. See if I can,
내리쳐라!
like, just for the story and nothing
너
else.
약하구나?
Because from what I see, like, a lot of the stuff you can get is all cosmetic.
I thought I saw something right here that alluded to it a little bit further, like right here. Your materia, your weapons.
Oh shit, you're right. I can see a physical and magical attack stat. Never mind. There's no way it's just cosmetic.
Even your, it looks like your gear detail, like right up here, which looks like your outfit.
기다려라!
Yeah. Ah, never mind. I don't like that.
I mean, but if you're just doing it to beat the game, I'm certain.
이동합니다.
It's always easy. Is that a materia right there? Look at that. Look on the ground. Do you see that little blue light?
목표 제거하였습니다.
Yeah, very, very small. I see it.
But there's,
I think it's just.
there's another one of those.
I think it's just. Maybe, I was gonna say I think it might be a light to a panel or something, but there's, like you said, there's nothing else.
I like that this game makes the reactor like walkway and like platforms big.
자, 이제 제 차례입니다.
Bro, what the?
Here's a bomb.
Yeah.
He said, besides, I gotta make sure you ain't a shimmer spot. Go on.
용서하지 않겠다!
Go put that shit on there.
내가 먼저다.
What did he just say?
Open your eyes.
No, I'm popping back between yours and Dre's stream right now.
Oh, it's Korean.
Oh, okay, that'll do it. Open your eyes. This isn't a normal reactor.
목표
Jenova's in there.
이동하겠습니다.
This is an elite unit that I have found.
목표 치명상을
It's a
입었습니다.
random thing that just spawned.
I was about to say, did you find it by accident?
I'm
전진합니다.
pretty happy about it, to be honest. It's my first one.
Ooh. I just thought about something too. Okay, we just talked about Tifa and Aerith, the possibility that is her talking, right?
지체할
So-
시간이 없습니다.
No, like in Rebirth, in Remake, like they go off and they talk and we don't know what it's about.
Oh yeah.
All right, so take that idea, that process. Does Sephiroth ever deal with Tifa? Like when he does things, like we know that like when Sephiroth does something, Cloud goes, "It's Sephiroth," and they're like, "Huh?" Like how?
내
You
살을
know,
일시,
so-
내 사킥,
Like they
내가
question him on
너희들을
it.
응징하겠다.
So if Tifa, Sephiroth, Cloud, Jenova, and Aerith have all been exposed to this stream,
No
how
way.
can't they how could they not differentiate whether who's pulling the strings and when they're pulling the strings?
Yeah, I mean, fair point, I
Because
guess.
they would have a connection to them by then.
And so there you have it. I'm going to cut it there. That's basically where our podcast, if you'll call it that, ends. Where three old guys more or less discuss game theory. And in this episode, we discussed, is Cloud the real bad guy? Is Jenova the real bad guy? Or Sephiroth the clear and obvious answer as far as being the antagonist? Please feel free to weigh in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your feedback. I have to stress, please be respectful. This is literally just opinions and conjecture. I will not stand for anyone insulting me or my brothers. for this conversation. It's a glimpse into our private life that I thought would be fun to share, because it's a topic that I think we all have in common and share with each other. So please just be respectful in your arguments if you have any. And with that said, I hope you enjoy. This is something we do fairly often. We're some nerds and we love to talk about it. And we would love to, honestly, have you involved in the conversation. So make sure you drop down in the comments. With that said, huge shout out and thank you to my soldiers. Thank you so much for supporting the cause. You guys and gals make the difference in this channel and in this content. So please, if you're interested in joining the cause, make sure you drop down in the link in the description and check out our Patreon, as well as our Discord, where we talk all things, well, gaming, Final Fantasy, Sword of Convalera, you name it. We'd love to have you in there. Feel free to join us. Till next time, I will catch y'all later. Bye.